Change is all around us. The pace of change seems to be unrelenting. It appears to occur faster and faster with every year, month, or even week that passes. Constant change can be stressful. It challenges our ability to cope and can drain our resilience. How we respond to change can make all the difference to how resilient we are. With change comes a whole new set of challenges, including how we manage our emotions. It gives us the chance to engage and become aware of our potential contribution to the change scenario. Everyone goes through a similar emotional pathway when dealing with significant change. John M. Fisher's process of transition model explains how people respond to change through defined phases. These are followed in succession until the change is accepted. John Fisher's change model is based on earlier studies by Isabel Kubler-Ross, who worked with bereavement, and she identified 5 stages of grief. Fisher's model is more focused around business. Much of the actual transition through the phases is done subconsciously. Some people move more quickly through phases than others. Everyone will need different things depending upon which phase they're in and the situation that they face. Significant factors are their temperament, their life experiences, their degree of control, and so on. Anxiety occurs at the beginning of the change process. It occurs because you don't have enough information that allows you to anticipate how things are going to be in the future. Anxiety is an awareness that events lie outside your range of control or even your understanding, and so you're unable to picture how the future may be. There's a sense of disbelief around the change of circumstances, and there may be some short-term denial that will help to protect you from some strong emotions. You're not sure how you're going to cope with the new situation, and you're not sure how you're going to cope with any social changes. The way of working to help people deal with anxiety is to listen and understand their sense of loss. Give them some space to come to terms with the situation. Encourage them to ask questions when they're ready and give them all the information that you can. Focus on short-term goals and objectives and give people reassurance. Happiness occurs because there's an awareness that your viewpoint about the need for change is being recognised and it's being shared by other people. You've got a feeling of relief that something's going to change and things are not going to continue as before. Whether you perceive the past negatively or positively, you'll still have this sense of anticipation and maybe excitement at the possibility of improvement. There's some satisfaction of knowing that some of your thoughts about the old system were correct and that something's going to be done about it. Helping other people to deal with happiness in this phase is quite easy, but it's important to listen and learn from the mistakes that were made in the past. Help people to construct plans for the future to ensure that the mistakes in the old system are not actually repeated, and encourage them to support other people who perhaps are not in this phase of the change curve. It takes time to face up to change and its repercussions, so don't expect any sudden leaps of acceptance. Denial is defined by a lack of acceptance of any change, and you deny what's going on or that it's having any impact on you in any way at all. You continue to act as if the change isn't happening, using the old practices and the old systems that have worked in the past and ignoring any evidence or any information to the contrary. Without the right level of support, you can easily get stuck in this phase. Helping others to deal with denial means giving them sufficient time to face up to the change. Explain carefully and sensitively the risks of staying in denial and the impact that their denial will have on them individually, and how this will help other people. Initially, some anger and frustration is directed at other people to apportion blame. This is focused at anyone and everyone else through threat and fear, especially those people you see as being responsible for the change. Part of the expression of anger is to bargain with them, to try to return things to how they were before. There's this threat of having to change yourself, and that makes you feel uncomfortable. This will change your perception of who you are. You blame others for the situation that you find yourself in and for causing you stress. Eventually, your anger and frustration is directed internally at yourself, and it'll be combined with feelings of guilt. You'll feel guilty for not having coped as well as you believed you should have done. You become angry at yourself for not knowing better and allowing the situation to escalate outside of your control. Helping other people to deal with anger during change is not easy, particularly if the anger is directed at you. You might find it quite unpleasant or upsetting. Don't take any comments personally. Don't show any anger in retaliation or become defensive, because this may escalate the situation. Keep communication channels open. Be honest and don't try to hide from the truth. Don't make any promises that you can't keep. Help people to understand the limitations and particularly what isn't changing. Help to guide them so that they feel they've got some elements of control. Disillusionment occurs when there's the awareness that your values, your beliefs and your goals are incompatible with some of the changes that are taking place. You become demotivated, unfocused, increasingly dissatisfied and gradually withdraw. This withdrawal can be mentally by just going through the motions, doing the bare minimum, actively undermining the change by criticising and complaining, or it can be physical by resigning from your job. Without the right level of support, you can easily get stuck in this phase. Helping to deal with other people's disillusionment can be done by encouraging them to open up, to talk about their feelings. Be honest, don't try and hide from the truth, and don't make any promises that can't be kept. Help them to understand the limitations on what's not changing. Help to guide them so that they feel they've got some level of control. Explain carefully and sensitively the impact that their behaviour, their disillusionment is going to have on them individually, and how this is going to affect other people. If they've made the decision to leave the organisation or to completely disregard the change, give them as much help and as much support as possible. Depression or despair is probably the most difficult phase to work through, and it could last the longest of all the phases. It's characterised by confusion and lack of motivation, combined with feelings of sadness, apathy and hopelessness. You're uncertain as to what the future holds and how you can fit into that future world. You may also feel a deep sense of loss, a loss of the things that were important to you, and feel completely powerless. You may struggle with your focus and with your work, or with your dealings with other people. The undermining of who you think you are leaves you adrift with no sense of identity and no clear vision of what to do. Helping other people to deal with despair and depression means encouraging them to talk about their feelings. Identify sources of support. Help them to find ways to manage their feelings and their thinking patterns. If necessary, help them to seek professional support. Coming out of the despair or depression phase, you may become increasingly hostile towards other people. The problem here is that you continue to operate some of the processes that have repeatedly failed to achieve a successful outcome. They're no longer part of the new system, or they're surplus to the new ways of working. The new processes are ignored at best, or they're actively undermined at worst. You can get stuck in this phase, yet you'll appear to other people to have moved on and accept the new order. The issue here is that you will remain increasingly hostile towards everyone. Helping other people to deal with hostility means encouraging them to talk about their feelings. Help them to understand the limitations of how they're working. Help to guide them so that they feel that they've got more control. Explain carefully and sensitively the impact that their hostility will have on them, both as an individual and how this will affect other people. During the acceptance phase, you'll find that you've become much more emotionally detached from the situation. You begin to make sense of your environment and your place within the change. Your confidence is returning as some control over the change is starting to occur. You begin to put some plans in place and formulate goals around your new needs and your new wishes. You feel good because you're doing the right things in the right way. Helping others during the acceptance phase means recognizing the progress that they've made and reward them for it. Provide them with some positive feedback. Give them something to feel proud of and give them a positive vision for the future. Moving forward, you're starting to exert more control. You're making more things happen in a positive way. You're getting your old sense of self back. You know who you are again, and you're starting to feel comfortable that you're acting in line with your convictions, your beliefs, and your values, and that you're making the right choices. In this phase, you're again starting to experiment with your environment more actively and effectively. Helping other people who are working in this phase, continue to keep the communication channels open. Provide them with positive support and encouragement. Map their minds and map their hearts. In moving on, it's important to try to accept the reality of the situation and to deal with the emotions. Some of the emotions may be quite unpleasant and unsettling, but they do need to be dealt with. Consider the situation from a different perspective. It doesn't have to be true, you just need to believe it. Learn from the situation. Identify the benefits open to you and identify the new skills that you're going to need and how you can develop them. Consciously choose to let go. Change what you can. Let go of what you can't change.